Welcome to how to create pinch pots with clay. Before we get to the exciting clay work, we need to talk about the classroom rules when you're working with clay. Rule number 1, think and move carefully. There's water bowls, there's clay, there's a lot of stuff on the tables that could create a giant mess. So don't play around in the classroom and cause that to happen. Rule number 2, clean up after yourself. Obviously, it's a messy process, but there's no reason that you should leave a giant mess behind. Take care of any messes that you create on purpose or on accident to make sure it's clean for the next student. Rule number 3, never take the clay out of the classroom. I don't care how little the piece is or how badly you want to play with it. Leave it in the room only. Do not try to sneak any clay out of the room. Rule number 4 is the most important. Don't throw the clay for any reason. If it leaves the control of your hands and is free-floating in the air, whether you're tossing it to yourself or you're dropping it, that's a problem. The consequence of violating any of these rules, no matter how small the violation, is that you will not be allowed to work on clay anymore in this classroom for the rest of your semester. You will get to write a report on the exciting process of creating clay from the earth. Now let's get to the fun stuff. Go ahead and unwrap your clay, which is fresh out of the box, from its plastic wrapper. You're going to need a piece of clay about the size of a large golf ball or a small baseball. So pull off a chunk that you can hold in one hand and take the rest of your clay and wrap it up in the plastic. Very important guideline with clay is that it dries. You need to make sure it doesn't dry out too soon. Now take your chunk of clay and roll it into a sphere between your two hands. It should be as perfectly round as you can get it. Notice what size it is and how it fits in my hands. To make a pinch pot, push your thumbs into the middle of the ball of clay. Rotate the clay as you support the outsides with your fingers. Continue pushing with your thumbs and supporting the outsides with your fingers, making sure the edges stay up. Feel the thickness between your thumb and fingers. The best thickness for working with clay is about as thick as your finger. Notice the edge of my pinch pot is about as big as a finger. The thickness of a finger is just thin enough that it won't take forever to dry, but that it is strong enough to hold its shape. Once you're happy with the shape and size of your pinch pot, it's nice to flatten the outside edge. So tap it gently against the table to flatten the edge. And you can go back and make any adjustments to areas that are too thick or too thin. Now I'm going to show you what a too thin pinch pot looks like. This is not really a pinch pot exactly, it's more like a pinch plate. Pinch pot process remains the same. Take a piece of clay about the size of a large golf ball or a small baseball. Wrap up your extra clay. Roll the chunk of clay in your hand into a sphere. If it gets lopsided, it's okay to go back and squish some of the big areas that are messing up your sphere. Then, remember, push your thumbs into the middle of the ball of clay. Support the outside with your fingertips. If you press too much or your fingertips are not supporting your pinch pot, you will see that it will grow into a floppy pinch plate. See, my fingertips are not held up, they're flat. And what is happening is I'm creating a flat plate. This will not help me sculpt a three-dimensional animal because it is flat like a pancake. It's also a fantastic demonstration of why you want your clay as thick as your finger. If I hold this thing up, it's floppy. It doesn't hold its shape. It is nowhere near as thick as my finger. This thing will fall apart and break apart and cause me problems the whole time, whereas my pinch pot that's as thick as my finger will work beautifully for me and I should not have any issues. This is how you make a pinch pot from clay that can later become your hollow animal figure.